Want a 911, but the Carrera is a bit too vanilla for you. Maybe you want the turbo, but you also want to take it to the track once in a while. You can go for the GT3 RS route, but that could be a little bit too jarring even for your weekend trips. So why don't you get one of these? Here we have the 2015 Porsche 911 GT3. This is the 991.1 body. Today I'm going to show you around this car and I'm also going to give it a test drive, so stay tuned. Now, I reviewed the 997 GT3 RS recently, and from that generation to this one, the 991, honestly, looks-wise, it's not that big of a difference. It's still your classic 911 look to it, but I mean, it's more of an evolution rather than a revolution from that car. Now, here at the side, you can see that these rims are just so big. These are 245 3520s, and you also get the really huge brakes to match those. Now these are wrapped in Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2, and you'll also notice that it is center locking, so if you take it to the track, it's so easy to just swap this out in the pit lane real quick. Now when you get on over to the back, it gets even wider than that. So these tires are really wide. These are 305 3020s, and what's interesting about this 991 body, unlike the 997, it has four-wheel steering. So how that works is like when you're going at low speeds, the rear tires actually move opposite of your front tires. And then when you go at higher speeds, around 80 kilometers per hour, I believe, it goes together with it. That way, it's a bit more stable when you're cornering at high speeds. Here at the front, it's still relatively similar as the sides. So it's not really that big of a departure from the 997, 911, but they did improve a little bit. So your lights look way nicer for the GT3 variant. You get so much vents. These are all real vents. So one here and a couple more down here. And also for the GT3, you get like a chin like this, which you have to be very careful of if you drive this inside Manila, because you are very sure to scrape this car. You just cannot miss the GT3 from a mile away. Imagine driving behind this thing and you get a glimpse of it. You catch a glimpse of it just before it disappears into the horizon, because this one accelerates from 0 to 100 in 3.3 seconds. That's like Tesla level, electric car level, P100D territory right there. So anyway, from the back, when you see it from afar, you're gonna notice that there is this huge wing. But do note that, as far as I know, it's still not as big as the RS variant. And now here too, it's just really wide. Just look at the wheel arches on this one. Remember, these are 305 with rims. These are crazy wide rims. Now you also get your Porsche and your GT3 badge right there. It's all black. Less chrome is a bit better for sporty cars, I believe. So you get more vents down here at the side as well. You have a diffuser and you have the IPE exhaust. And this exhaust, by the way, which I shall show you later on, you can even press like a button, which opens up a flap and makes it sound even better than it already is. The promised exhaust clip in 3, 2, 1, let's go. That sounds amazing. Ooh, listen to those pops and cracks. Now, if we try to put on the sports exhaust, then we rev it a little bit more. Gosh, that can't get enough of that. That's just really magnificent to one's ears. Since the engine of the 911 is at the back, you don't have a choice. So if you want to access it, you have to lift up the entire wing as well together with it. And under that, you barely see anything, but that is a 3.8 liter flat 6 naturally aspirated engine, which produces 475 horsepower and 440 Newton meters of torque. Now, what's amazing about that, even though that figure doesn't sound as much as its more even higher class supercar counterparts, this thing revs up to 9,000 RPM, which is just absolutely insane. Here inside the GT3, first let's check the thud of the door. Really good sounding thud right there. Now let's start the car up. The ignition is on the left side. I love that sound. That's just so damn good. All right, so in here, the materials, it's a little bit more tame than the GT3 RS. So you get bucket seats, but they're not as aggressive and painful and metal-like to your side. So if you get a little bit of fat, it's not gonna hurt if you hit these bucket seats. Now, up top you get the really nice leather. Here on the sidings as well, it's really nice leather. Then you get a little bit mix of like Alcantara. So down here, that's Alcantara. Your door handles, that's Alcantara. This armrest right here is also Alcantara, as well as your glove box and your steering wheel. For your seats, it's outlined in leather. Then the middle part where you actually sit, like where your ass touches, that's also Alcantara. Going back to your steering wheel, it's really nice to grip. You get grips at the 10 and 2 position, and you get really nice crispy metal paddle shifters behind it. Now, your speedometer, I really love it because just like with most Porsches, your tachometer is dead center. You also have the GT3 badge on it, which looks really good. And my favorite part of it, it redlines around 9,000 RPM, but the tachometer shows you all the way until 10,000. Not that you can ever take it there. I'm not sure you can. If ever you do, I think you'll break your car, but yeah, it's just really nice to see it there. To the left of that, your speedometer, it goes up all the way to a whopping 350 kilometers, which this car can't really go that high, but again, it's really nice to see it there. To the right of that though, you get some sort of like a digital instrument cluster, which looks really nice. It really makes the 991 seem just a little bit more modern compared to the 997 it replaces. To the center, you have this Sport Chrono package, so you get a clock that doubles as like a stopwatch. Then you have a nice screen, which looks really modern too. The sound system in this car is really good sounding as well. I like that. Let's turn that down for now. Now your AC system, it's just your basic dual zone climate control. Then this one, now this is the kicker right here. Unlike the 997, unfortunately, you cannot get the 991 with a manual, but that's fine because this PDK shifts so well, and it shifts way faster than any human could possibly shift with a manual. Below that, you get a lot more buttons. So you have your sport mode. You just press this button and the exhaust goes, ooh. You hear that different rumble to it. Let's turn it off again. Quiet, comfy. Sport, menacing and sporty. Now you also have a button to change your adaptive dampers, and it really makes the car handle even better than it already is if you turn that on. Then of course the usual stuff, so ESC and ABS, traction control, you can turn all of that off. The seats are really comfortable. Again, they're not as painful as the bolsters on the RS model, and they're not as aggressive either. What I love about them is just there's so much adjustments compared to the RS. It's really hard to get into the RS if either you're a bit of a small guy or like a really big guy. You'll struggle a lot with the RS. But for this one, okay, you get adjustments, that's manual for front and back. Then you get power adjustments for your tilt and your up and down for your seats. Now you also have to note that this car is just slightly heavier because you finally get the side airbags, which are mounted on these bucket seats. So driving the 2015 911 GT3. Now, when I first saw this car, I just saw it's so crazy amazing. It's so beautiful to look at. And when I just took it out for a spin at once, it's just incredibly fast. It's a rocket. Now, I drove the 911 997 GT3 RS recently, but it's a manual and I suck at driving manuals, and I was in a really enclosed area, so I didn't really get to push it hard. So today, we're gonna get to try this car on the open road. So now that it went green, this car stops revving at 6,000 RPM, but it just keeps going. Holy crap. Oh my gosh. It just doesn't stop, it just keeps going. Oh gosh, and the exhaust note is just magnificent. Oh, in most cars, you rev it and it goes up to like 5,000, 6,000 RPM, and then it just stops there. But this car, just when you think it's about to upshift, it doesn't. It just keeps going. It doesn't run out of breath. It's amazing. This car is just crazy. That flat six engine is just crazy. 475 horsepower, 475 horsepower of pure raw driving excellence. We can go on another pull right here. The soundtrack and the brakes, god, the huge calipered brakes. Those calipers are huge. It just stops you. I was doing like 150 and it just slams down to like 80 really quick, like less than a second or all that. Turn off the sport mode and it's rather quiet. It's a smooth driving experience, and that's the main difference between this and the GT3 RS variant. Because the GT3 RS, let's be honest, even if you buy it, I know it looks cool, and if you want to bring it to your like cars and coffee during Sunday, sure, it's great, it's nice to look at, but it's not a car that you can really drive even occasionally. It's really a pain to drive the GT3 RS. But if you get this one, this GT3 variant, you get to have all that amazing, amusing fun. And still, as long as you turn off like the sport stiffening suspension, the adjustable dampeners, I dare say you can even daily drive this car. The seats are comfortable. It's not that quiet given the engine, but it's not jarring at all. It's ridiculous how Porsche is able to do that. That speed bump right there, that pothole, it just feels like a regular Carrera. Not that it's a luxury sedan type of comfort, but it's for a sports car. No, not even for a sports car, just for a car. It's not bad. In case you don't know, this car can go all the way to 314 kilometers per hour. And you can really surely feel that it can go that fast. 911s are kind of scary in turns. If you go a bit too fast, then you suddenly lift off, or if you just suddenly slam the brakes because of the engine at the back, the way it shifts forward. So as you're kind of understeering, you think you're understeering, then it moves forward, then it suddenly grips, then that's how you spin out and end up in a ditch. But right now with its four-wheel steering, it just gives you a little bit more confidence to push it harder, to push it faster, to push it to its limit. And if you take this car to the track, I am sure that that brand new system will help you so much. Now this car as well, a lot of enthusiasts are getting pissed because of the fact that it doesn't have a manual, but the PDK system in this car can shift way faster than any human being alive with a manual. Now as you can see, I'm trying it out on EDSA, and really even with EDSA's horrible roads, it's really not bad. Like, I can imagine myself going to the office in this car. Of course, I can't afford it, but I can experience-wise, in the sense that it's not uncomfortable at all. I'm gonna get to the office, relax, and with a smile on my face. Oh, just listen to that. That exhaust is amazing. And now as I like changed lanes over this, it really feels incredibly stable. It makes you feel really confident over turns. You can really kind of feel the rear wheel helping you steer. It's just amazing, this car. Do you want to weave in and out of traffic with this car? Just downshift, hit that paddle shifter. Wow. This is an open space, but I feel like I have a tunnel behind me. Holy crap. That PDK is incredibly crisp. It's something else. I swear this car is just wow. The older 911s, they had things such as like putting electronic things to make sure that the car doesn't have body roll, but the designer of this 991, this GT3, knows that like physically, like physics-wise, scientifically, this car already has almost zero, if not zero body roll, so he didn't even bother putting that electronic gremlin in this car. So this car is just raw. It's so raw to feel. It's electronic steering, sure. It's not the hydraulic steering that we used to love with older 911s, but it's still a very engaging driving experience. Don't discount it at all, saying that it's taking away from the driving experience, because it's not. It's a very involved driving car. This car has like adjustable dampeners, and the very moment you turn it on, it turns from like a comfortable cruiser into really a track weapon kind of feel to it. So it gets incredibly stiff. I have no idea why you still need it, because this car is already incredibly stiff as it is, even in the comfort mode. But should you want to like really track this car, you just hit that switch right there, and the very moment, holy crap. I don't get how the laws of physics work. I'm like changing lanes real quick right here, and the car moves this way. Usually it kind of moves like that, even ever so slightly, but this one with the suspension button on, it's crazy. It just moves flat laterally. It's mind-boggling. Try to test the corner while we go fast. God damn. Oh my gosh. even when you exit a corner. The very moment you turn the steering wheel, just hit it. The track is like this. It's like flat, 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 still flat. How? No body roll, zero. This is not exactly the fastest Porsche 911 that you can get for going in a straight line, because you have the turbo, you even have the Turbo S, but this car is not really meant to do that. If you really want a car that can just go in a straight line, get the turbo, fine, sure, that has way more horsepower, but that's not really track driven or track drivable that much. You can kind of, but this is more of the dedicated track weapon. However, if you really want a dedicated track weapon, you have the RS, but then again, not a lot of us can really take these cars to the track often, so why don't you get one of these GT3 that you can kind of drive once in a while if you don't have time to go to Clark. Now, one last pull. The 7-speed PDK, fast. Zero lag. I'm talking about milliseconds lag. How fast does it take you to shift from one gear to the next? At least like half a second, 50 milliseconds maybe. But this one, it's like less than 1/10 of a second. So don't ever, please, give it a try. Don't think that the PDK, just because it's something like an automatic, that it sucks. It does not suck. It's amazing. This car is just brilliant. It's amazing. I'll put the owner's description and his contact number down below, and you can go and give him a call. Remember, this car only has 10,500 kilometers on it. If you like this video, please don't forget to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel to see more car reviews.